Okay, so we're recording. Okay, so I'm gonna start by introducing myself. My name is Mandy, she, her pronouns. I'm the East African officer of Oxford ACS, and I'm gonna let my co-host introduce herself.
So hey guys, I'm Teta. Third year at Cambridge, doing computer science. I'm the treasurer of the East African Society at Cambridge.
Okay. And with us today, we're very excited to introduce our two guests, our two panelists. So if I start with, guest number one, spoiler alert, Umutoni Thuku-Benzinge, if you want to introduce yourself, Umu.
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, my name is Umutoni Umu, and I'm founder of a brand called Kaleidoscope Beauty, which is a jewelry brand that's all about empowering disenfranchised communities and showcase the beauty of Africa. So thank you very much for having me today.
Amazing stuff. And our other guest, pretty sure he needs no introduction, but you know what, we'll allow him this one time. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is George, the poet. I'm a spoken word artist and I talk about what's happening in society.
Cool, okay. So we're just gonna jump straight in, basically. I've got like questions. I'm new to the whole interview thing, so I've got questions up on my screen. So if I'm looking to the side, please excuse me. I'm just, trying to keep to the flow. The way this is gonna work is we're gonna split this into like a 20-minute interview section where we're gonna talk about cultural things, being East African, being part of the diaspora, and then I'm going to hand over to Teta, who's going to take over for the Q&A part of this, and she's going to wrap up with like a little bit of a fun quiz for Umu and George, see what they know about East Africa. So if you have any questions throughout the whole event, make sure you put them into the chat. And the last thing I wanted to mention before I start asking questions is that we've put all socials into the chat, from George to Umu, to Cambridge East African Society, Oxford ACS, and we've even put Cambridge ACS in there because, why not? It's all love. All right. So first of all, how are we all? Anybody can answer. Teta, Umu, George. Let's start with Umu.
I'm good. We're good. Yeah. It's been a good day, busy day. I was at my mum's earlier this morning. I was with Teta. Come back home now. Just keeping busy, progressing, planning for the rest of the year. Excited to delve into today's event.
Amazing. Teta, how's life?
Life, it's been good. I had a supervision, the manic rush to finish the supervision before the supervision began. That has pretty much been my day. As Umi said, she was here as well, so saw her this morning before she left.
Cool. And George, updates, life?
No complaints, man. I'm working on a new chapter of my podcast. It's called Have You Heard George's Podcast? We have a special guest from the podcast on this call right now. Mandy blessed it last chapter. Other than that, preparing for my PhD. Actually, I'm gonna go back
PhD?
PhD.
Going back to school? Jeez. That's mad. So everybody's struggling to face their book, You got no excuse. Like, this man has like 5 accolades, plus he's going back to school. Like, step your game up, innit? No, I'm just joking. So we want to talk about everything East Africa today, and mainly like your personal connection with the culture, being part of the diaspora, et cetera. So firstly, could you introduce the nations you're repping? I'm going to start with myself. I'm repping the Tanzanian flag. Let's go to George.
I'm Uganda.
Cool.
Team
Then
Uganda.
I'm Kenya and Rwanda.
And Teta.
from Umu's sister, so I'm also Kenyan and Rwandese.
Makes sense. All right, so first question is, what's the most like East African thing that you've ever experienced, like growing up? It might have been at home, community, like when you went, maybe visited back like to Uganda, Rwanda, Kenya. Like, what's like the most East African thing you're like, rah, I feel that. I feel the heritage.
I can go first. I'm happy to go first.
Yeah.
I would say one experience for me growing up was, from childhood. So there was a time I went to this Saturday school before Tet was born. She's not going to recognize this, but there was this Saturday school where we used to learn Kinyarwanda, like Kinyarwanda dancing, dress up in like the traditional every now and then. And that was quite a new experience for me at the time, because I hadn't, also the first time I met another Umutoni, so that was mind-blowing to me, because I didn't have to explain my name was, how to pronounce it, honestly. So that was a beautiful experience. I think I was probably around around 6 years old. And then just had obviously the food and everything after. Not that I can speak that much Kinyarwanda today, but that memory for me was just beautiful. I think I felt really seen from an early age, from a cultural perspective.
Oh, that's really lovely. Saturday school. You know who else went to Saturday school? Akala. So, you know, it's good stuff. Send your kids to Saturday school if they're still around. Great one. And George, what's like your most kind of East African memory, I guess?
Probably either riding on a boda in Uganda, or no, I got an even better one. A long journey that I had to take from the main international airport in Kenya to like the village in Kenya. This was two Christmases ago. It was roughly the same distance between London and Nottingham. And the first time I did it, it took me about 8 hours, 4 hours just getting out of Nairobi. And when I did it like a couple days later in the morning with no traffic, it took 3 hours, but it was like a whole, tour of like Kenyan life. And I'm a little bit Kenyan too, so I haven't explained that.
Ooh, but, just a little bit, just in it. That's mad. No, that boda thing is like real, like turning corners, like there's no doors. So like some of the drivers are actually mad and they go at crazy speeds and you're like, please let me not lose my life in this little thing. But yeah.
Honestly.
Okay, so next question is specific to you, George. So as I've mentioned before, you've got several accolades. You've got poet, spoken word artist, podcast host, I guess, or creator, which is in the chat, by the way. Definitely go listen to that, BBC Sounds. And then grime MC, and then academic. So I just wanted to know, what's been like the reception from like the elders in your family, elders in the community, from like that, all those parts of your, I guess, career and work?
Well, I feel like I bought a bit of credit with the elders quite early on by taking school seriously. So they were always, I had a level of confidence in what I was doing because of that. But moving on to music, I don't really present my music.
Oh dear. Is it just me that can't hear George?
I think he's frozen.
Me as well.
Hold on a second. Okay. Well, yeah, he is frozen. Okay, we'll wait for him to join up again. I'll just move on to the next question and he can like finish his answer afterwards. Okay, Umu. So my question for you was, I know like my dad's really like he's an entrepreneur and all that. And he kind of attributes that to like his, oh sorry George, you cut out.
My bad.
But I'm gonna go to Umu now, and then like you can kind of finish your answer. I'll ask the question again just so it's clear. So my dad's an entrepreneur, and he kind of attributes that to growing up in poverty and things like that, and like looking for opportunities to like find his way out, right? And when I've been back to Tanzania, that's one part of like the culture that I've seen, is like people are always hustling to try and find like an opportunity, right? And Kaleidoscope Beauty is like really, really deep in like everyday Kenyan life, right? From the people who make the jewelry. So what's like, from obviously I know that you visited, like what's another part of the culture that we as diaspora don't get to see and like engage with like on a daily basis?
A part of the culture, probably I'll go straight to my artisans. So we work with at Kaleidoscope Beauty, we work with artisans who are located in the slums, right? So we're all about empowering disenfranchised communities, and working with artisans who are already doing the work, who may just not have the reach, they don't have the international connections. So the two slums I'm currently working with are Kibera, which is the largest urban slum on the African continent, as well as Mbabandogo. So I think even just, it's been a real eye-opening experience for me, because I don't think I hadn't stepped foot in a slum prior to starting my own businesses. But I think being an entrepreneur and being a creative is about being a solutionist, right? You're just trying to find solutions to problems that exist in society. So here there were artisans who they're doing the work. They just don't have the reach. And when you're hit with something like the pandemic, where typically a lot of the customers that the artisans would have been international tourists, and obviously borders have been closed and travel is something that's been really discouraged, that became an even bigger problem for them. So been able to kind of bridge those gaps and help bring those connections and showcase their work on a bigger scale, and also just be able to create and grow and kind of go from there. So I think just being able to integrate with other aspects of society who aren't typically showcased it's been quite eye-opening.
Yeah, I really like that. And because what I personally like is that you always see, especially this happens like a lot with Africa, like you see a certain image, right? Like the slums where your artisans are, like you see a specific type of image, like, you know, and it's like that you get like a quite visceral feeling, because it's like it's not depicted well in like these aid campaigns and stuff. But like I like that you're like kind of putting the power in their hands and like actually like tapping into things that are, like people actually do on the ground, and like it's like it's impactful because it's their real life. Do you know what I mean? It's like their real skills. Yeah. So I really like that. So George, your kind of half-baked answer, I'll repeat the question just so everybody's kind of on board. So yeah, with all your accolades from Grand MC to academic and everything in between, podcast as well, what's been the reception of the elders in the community?
Right, yeah, I was saying that I think the elders kind of had confidence because my studies seemed to be on track from an early stage. But fortunately, I was able to use my artistic life to continue whatever I was trying to achieve in my studies, to talk about society, talk about politics in a way that didn't embarrass the family. So yeah, I guess it was, you know, everyone was able, and also I made effort to try and talk about Ugandan life and Ugandan politics eventually. So there's enough in what I do that, you know, my elders I can bridge my world to theirs without too much trouble.
That's really cool. And like, I'm not gonna spoil the podcast for anybody, but like I feel like in season 2 of the podcast, like you did it so creatively, like the link between Diaspora and Uganda, like it was it was sick, honestly. Like I plugged it too much, but like go listen to the podcast.
You helped me out with that. I appreciate that.
No problem. Okay, so I'm gonna circle back to my question to Umu, and obviously she gave an amazing response. And to tie kind of everything together, I want to show the Kaleidoscope Beauty mission video. Do you want to tell us where this was shot, Umu? Give us a little bit of like a preface.
Yeah, yes, definitely. So I actually left my 9-to-5 last year. I'm now doing the business full time, which is great and exciting. Thank you. So thanks, Team Upside. So I spent 2 months in Kenya, right? I had a few issues, a few challenges that I was facing, and I had to just go to Kenya. The borders opened, and find new artisans, as we were working with Baba Ndogo at the time, but I needed to kind of expand. I needed to be able to kind of spread that risk, have a number of different artisans that we're working with on the continent, in the country. So yeah, so this video was shot throughout Nairobi. We also went to the workshop to go see where all of our pieces are made. Yeah, you'll see various different aspects of Nairobi, the workshops with the artisans, I think behind the scenes of some of the photo shoots, and then just some historic year-old imagery from some of our previous collections. So yes, enjoy it. But essentially what we're trying to do is just share the mission, which is the heart of Kaleidoscope Beauty, and the fact that, you know, philanthropy is at the heart of everything that we do.
All right, cool. And here comes the video. So obviously, mic's off, everybody.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Umutoni Thuku-Benzinge, and I'm founder of Kaleidoscope Beauty, a brand that's all about showcasing the beauty of Africa through contemporary, handcrafted, statement jewelry and accessory pieces that are ethically sourced and empowering disenfranchised communities right here in Kenya. Our mission as an ethically driven business is to empower, work with, and enrich the communities often forgotten at the forefront of society. The artisans making our jewelry are from disadvantaged backgrounds. Here in Kibera, the largest urban slum on the African continent and 4th largest slum in the world, we partner with a team of talented artisans creating our unique, handcrafted pieces. This in turn creates job opportunities and a source of income within the community. I spoke to Dixon and some of the team to find out more.
Kwa majina naitwa Dixon Uma. Hapo kwa workshop Kibera tuko watu wa 6 na tumefanya for 7 years. Na hii kazi tunatengeneza necklaces, bangles, earrings, pendants, rings. Tunatumianga brass metal. Naona kama wenye wanafanya kazi wanajaribu kugrow, wengi wao wanaweza lipata ma school fee kutoka kwa hii kazi.
By supporting us, you'll make an impact in more ways than one. Beyond the beautiful, bold aesthetics of our unique designs, you are helping us to alleviate multi-generational poverty experienced by these young men and women right here in Africa.
So that was the mission video. It's a sick video. I love all the scenes. It reminds me very much of Tanzania. As a sick video. So website is in the chat, right at the top of the chat, along with all the other socials and all the websites. So jewelry is amazing. I've got some pieces myself, so it's really pretty jewelry.
Thank you.
All right, so now I've got hold on, now I've got a question for both of you. So I just wanted to ask like a final question to wrap up like the interview portion. When I hear the Tanzanian national anthem, yeah, something in me switches. It's like I have to stand up, hand goes on heart, and I sing so loud and I smile and everything. So that's probably for me, if I had to pick one thing, that's like my favorite thing about Tanzania. It's like national anthem is one of them, and like just Swahili in general. I love how expressive it is. So I wanted to ask you, let's go with you, Umu, first. What's your kind of favorite bit of the culture if you had to pick?
Favorite bit of the culture? I think it's the community aspect. I think it's I love being in Kenya. I love being in Rwanda. I love being on the continent. I think it's the community aspect, the feel, the people, the food. I don't know if I can bring it down to just one element, but I even walk different when I'm in Kenya. Like I walk at a slower pace. I feel like the conversation sometimes a bit more genuine. Whoever you're speaking to, you can literally pick up a conversation a year later. And yeah, I'm not sure if I'm answering this correctly.
There's no correct.
The vibe, everything that kind of embodies being on the continent, the people, the community, the relationships, the weather, the everything. That's a
fantastic answer. It's a difficult question. That's why, I ask these difficult questions. No, I'm joking. Okay, George.
I would have taken Umutoni's answer, man. The vibe. It's just, you can't put it into words. You gotta feel it. But let me allow Umutoni to have that. For me, the food. The food is the next best thing.
Easy. Teta, what about you?
Probably a mix of the two, I can't lie. I feel like it's different. Even just like, I feel like it's a lot more chill. I feel like here, like you're just always on the go. You're running for a train, you're running for the bus, you're trying to sprint everywhere. I feel like everything's a lot more relaxed. Like even you go and you're just chilling. I'll normally be moving between like my grandma's house and then like all of my various uncles' houses or like aunties' houses. So it's just like you get there, arrive, be like, hi, how's it going? Even if I haven't spoken to them for ages, just like everything's relaxed, everything's chill. Just a nice change of pace.
No, I hear you all on the vibes. For me, I noticed something interesting. Like, it's like I'm looking through a different lens, like literally, like the air, like the way the sky looks is different. I don't know if it's just me, like when I'm in London, like everything is literally gray, but like there's like a yellow tint when I go to Tanzania. I don't know if it's me and my eyes, I need to get them checked, but like there's like a yellow tint of like brightness. It's brighter, I don't know.
No, but yeah, I feel that even just like events that happen, I feel like there are certain events that happen like in Kenya or Rwanda that wouldn't be able to happen here, like those random like throwback family stories where you're just there like, I can't believe that happened. You'd be like, that wouldn't happen in London.
Yeah. All right, so and with that, that's my sort of bit done. Teta, handing over to you. We're gonna look in the chat for questions, and then like if you got questions, Teta, some might pop into my head as well. So we'll just question and answer, innit?
Yeah. So if anyone's got any questions that they want to ask either Umu or George, please message them into the chat and we'll ask them. In the meantime, George, I've got a question for you first. So obviously I'm Umu's sister, so I know Umu's kind of thinking involves like asking between like me, our mom, our auntie, to like gather ideas. So when it comes to like stuff that you want to write about or stuff that for your podcast, who's your kind of like running stuff through, like getting your ideas, trying to make sense of it while you go through that process, kind of?
That's a good question. It hands down has to be my main collaborator, my producer, Ben Brick. He's a polymath. He can do so many different things with his mind. So we'll go from talking about blockchain to American politics to, you know, like African history. And what I appreciate about him is that he'll just give me space to be crazy, because I am crazy. I've come to understand it's not for everyone, but he just, you know, like just, he's like a parrot to me, like in the way of we talk like a kid. And I actually realized how valuable that was last year when lockdown first came into effect, and I wasn't able to be around him for months. And I just found myself kind of climbing the walls, because there's a certain release that comes with being able to run your thoughts by someone without restriction. So yeah, Ben, definitely.
Yeah, so hopefully Umai attempts to give you part of that release, or even just to be able to, like, that person that you can talk things through. I want to switch it slightly to Umu. So again, if anyone's got any questions, then feel free to ask. Actually, before I ask this one, a few coming in. So the first one is from Suleiman, or Team Upside. So how can we build strong local communities in a post-COVID world with the challenges of social distancing, etc.? Do either of you two want to answer that?
You can go ahead. I can say something after.
Yeah, sure. In a post-COVID world, well, I think we can start building communities now. I think one thing we have to really leverage at the moment is technology. Even the fact that we have a space like this, there are apps like Clubhouse, there are, you know, there's ways to communicate even while we are across the globe from our various different communities. But I think it's just about, yeah, having conversations, having dialogue, not being scared to have those conversations, right? I think sometimes there's a lot that's going on in the world. Some of it is very controversial, but I think a good takeaway from that is just opening up dialogue, hearing other people's perspective, and kind of going from there. Yeah, that's my answer. Over to you, George.
Thank you. I just want to refresh my mind with the question. Building strong communities in post-COVID world. Yeah, so what Umutoni said is the foundation of any answer that any sensible person would give. We have to be excited by the opportunities that technology presents. We can communicate in real time. I don't know how many people on the call can remember the days of call cards when that was the only way to communicate with back home. We can pick up the phone and cut through time differences. We can keep up to date with different kinds of news from back home. There's the official news, and then there's the news, the people's news.
Yeah.
These are big opportunities. Also, I think what is foundational to us building communities is cultural exchange. Listen to music from back home. Educate yourself, or like follow influencers from back home, literally on social media. Just have people that you can glance at that will give you a visual representation of what's happening on the ground. Because I don't know about you, but everyone in Uganda is on Instagram and on YouTube, right? So just keep these influences in your mind, and what that creates is a shared language. It gives us a common code so that you're not coming in cold. You know, you're not just entering the cultural landscape of East Africa without an awareness of the perspective and the vibe that you're walking into.
Yeah, I think those are both really good responses. And kind of leading on from that, I've got another question for George. Can you explain a bit about how the Ugandan political situation feels from a diaspora perspective?
I see it as a double-edged sword. So on one edge is the helplessness that many of us can feel dealing with a president who's been in power for 35 years, not feeling like we have the language or the understanding on the ground to be able to contribute to the political future of Uganda. But then there's another side of it where we have the contrast of the environment that we find ourselves in. So I'm in the UK, I'm in London. And because I spend a lot of time back and forth, I have the contrast, and I can, as much as we've just all listed the things that we love about home, and we love the same things. We love the vibe, we love the people, we love the food. But there are advantages of over here as well. And I see it as my responsibility, and I would encourage others in the diaspora to take on this responsibility as well, to connect the advantages of here with the challenges back home. How can I be useful to people back home? So for example, I live in an environment, by God's grace, in which I'm able to talk about politics freely. So I have to use that advantage. I have to say what people back home can't necessarily say. Other people might be in a position to facilitate trade. Umutoni is a good example. Through Kaleidoscope Beauty, she can speak to an international market. She can present the skill set of artisans in otherwise challenged and impoverished communities. She can present those skills to an international audience, you know, to a higher paying audience than they otherwise would reach. So we really need to be optimistic. In the same way we got to be optimistic about tech, we have to be optimistic about our economic and political freedoms, and we have to be creative in sharing that benefit with people back home. Sorry, I kind of went on a tangent, but
No.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
that is the response that I've got. So, Umi, we've got a question for you. Sorry, I've just dropped something. How did you find the confidence to take the leap and start your own business?
That's a good question. I think the good thing for me is I had like a softer start. So typically growing up, secondary school, Teta and I used to spend a lot of our summers in Kenya. And so what we'd do on the back of that is get gifts for friends, for family members. Typically that was in the form of jewelry. So there's like something called the Maasai market in Kenya. So I'd buy pieces, bring them here for friends, for family. And what happened is friends of friends or family of family ended up asking for additional pieces. And at the time I was 15, 16, I had limited pocket money. And so I literally had to say, listen, would you pay for this? Because I can't afford to do that for you. But the answer was yes. So from a young age, I think that kind of opened up my eye to the possibility of, oh, okay. And so I remember there was also a church fair where I went and I sold a few of my pieces, made like £100 profit on the day. I was really excited, like, wow, I can buy all the lip glosses I want. But again, those were just really small like experiences that opened my eye up to the possibility. And then later on watching Black Panther in 2018, I believe, that showed me that there was still a demand for international, well, for African art, for African jewelry, for African costume, but on a global stage. And why can I not be a part of that change going forward? So what gave me the confidence, I think kind of connecting all of those experiences, and then also knowing that I knew that I wanted to have a business. I wanted it to give back, but I wanted it to be in a sustainable model, right? So not necessarily charity. I've in certain models and experiences that I'd had in the past kind of showed that sometimes that model can create a giver and receiver dynamic, which can be problematic further down the line or can be challenging. I'm a single woman now, I don't have children, I don't have, that many responsibilities, but that will change in the future. So I wanted something that would be sustainable, where everybody could take ownership, right? My artisans take great pride in creating their pieces. We take great pride in, creating new designs, reaching new markets. So with all of that, that kind of gave me the confidence to just give it a go. And I think just listening to, whether it's different books or different people speak, you kind of start with what you have, start where you are, use what you have and do what you can, fail forward. And luckily I was also working, I had a 9-to-5, so it wasn't something I had to rely on solely to be my only source of income initially. Yeah, but I'd say go for it, do your research. Don't be scared to tell your story. Your story is what makes you unique. So for me, I kind of tie it through the business, and that's what brought us to have Kaleidoscope Beauty and see where it is today.
Cool. Kind of opposite one for George. Somebody's asked, who inspires you?
I'm looking at him right now. I've got him here. Got him all over the place. This guy right here.
Jeez.
Malcolm
That's
X.
a big inspiration.
Honestly.
Straight. So I have historical inspiration. There's Malcolm X. There's the generation of, in the time of Malcolm X, actually, the generation of African independence figures, you know, people like Patrice Lumumba, people like Nkrumah in Ghana, Thomas Sankara a little later on. So I dive into history quite a lot, but also music inspires me. Music is like my adrenaline shot of inspiration, because when I listen to music, I can hear our history as Black people. I can hear our potential, and it doesn't have to be like legendary Fela Kuti, Bob Marley level. It's literally like the kids that are coming out now, you know. Like I listen to a lot of UK drill, for example, or I listen to, you know, I was binging on Wizkid's album over Christmas. But this stuff just, I don't know, I think there's magic in music that just keeps me imagining like what could be for Africa.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Kind of leading on from the music. Someone's put one of your verses from, I want to say Young Kings Part 1, but
yes,
I've got this wrong. I kind of even want to rap it. I can't lie, but I won't. But
you knew the lyrics to this. I remember this. You were a fan. Come on, this is the time to play.
You are trying to kill me.
But the actual question is, what's the best way to communicate the benefits of intellectualism and academics to young Black kids?
Be it. Be the benefits. Make them see it every time they see you. The way I went about my poetry was I chose to speak the way I speak, but not water down what I want to say. And that is because of this question. Like, I want to show young people that you can translate yourself in different environments. You can hold your own in spaces that might otherwise be intimidating. I'm preaching to the choir because everyone on this call, I'm sure, knows about this. But just don't be shy. Again, this is something that I always took from Malcolm. I was always touched by how unashamedly and uncompromisingly intellectual he came across in media spaces where they're just asking him basic questions and he's firing back with like everything he's ever read. We gotta not only normalize it, we gotta glamorize it. We gotta make it. I remember being a kid and watching Malcolm footage and being like, I don't know what I'm gonna be when I'm older, but I need to be able to talk smart. So let's make sure that our young people see it in us.
I just wanted to jump in and say, because we've got so many sick questions, I'm seeing them all come through. We're probably just gonna leave the quiz because we want to hear like answers to the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our next question is, what advice would you guys give ambitious, passionate young people who pretty much don't know what they want to do with their lives at the moment because of such diverse interests? Obviously, both of you, I mean, I know about Umu's academic background, but obviously you're in something quite different now. George as well, you've gone into such a different kind of, or not different, I guess you are still kind of involved with politics, just in a very different way. So yeah, how would you tell us to go about finding what it is that we're ambitious and passionate about?
I'm happy to go. So first of all, listen, nobody has it figured out. This has taken me a while to come to understand. Nobody has it figured out. When you're at university, it feels like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. You're trying to, the next chapter is employment and all these other goals that you may have for yourself. And it looks like adults know what they're doing. It looks like people in their 30s, 40s, 50s know what they're doing. Listen, they don't. Everyone is figuring it out. So first of all, just take a deep breath, you'll get there. And then just really take this time, I guess, while you're at university, you're in a unique place because you have time, you are young, and those are two things that you can't buy, right? So take this time to really kind of explore who you are, what it is you like, what are your interests? Are you, whether it's, for me, I like traveling, so I traveled a lot, I got involved. That's the first time I kind of dabbled in beauty, which I didn't necessarily see as something that could be something I could make a career out of. But at university, take the time to really try and delve into your interests. What are your passions? Discover your passions, mix with new people. University is also, it's like a mini globe, right? You have people from all sorts of, every race, every culture, all walks of life, different, social, economic groups. Really get in the mix. That would be my advice, and kind of go from there. But relax and just know that nobody has it figured out. Yeah, if the UK government hasn't shown you that. So yeah, that would be a good starting point. And yeah, kind of lean into it. Don't be scared to make mistakes. Don't be scared to kind of make those discoveries, and have a network of friends, family that you can also have those conversations with. That's my answer.
George, do you have anything to add on to that?
I would just say, trust what you enjoy, provided it doesn't hurt anyone. There's a reason you enjoy it. I wasn't good at rap when I started, but I enjoyed it, and opportunities presented themselves because I was following the enjoyment that I got from being in the space of rapping. You should give yourself more credit. But it links to what Umu said. Only when you relax and you accept that you can't have all the answers in one go, can you take real appreciation in the stuff that comes naturally, and enjoyment is one of those things.
I have one more thing to add on to that, actually. And when you're in a season where you're not quite where you want to be, you're starting to gain a bit more clarity. Try and really think about what your transferable skills are, right? So like, I was in IT before, nothing to do with jewelry. I knew that I wanted to have my own business from when I was 15. I knew the age, there's a few goals I had for myself. And so even where I was in IT, it fulfilled my needs at the time. But I thought, okay, how do I make sure I don't waste this time? Because people are going to piss you off. They're going to have a few experiences that may not necessarily be the most enjoyable, but you have to just have something that grounds you in that season, in that, whether it's a community or environment. What are the transferable skills? So for me at the time, it was, I wanted to build my confidence, presentation. I was in a white male dominated industry. How can I just be comfortable in those spaces? And also just communication, things like that. So yeah, while you're also not exactly where you want to be, think about the transferable skills.
I think it's probably going to be last question.
So last question. So both of you guys are produce art. So Umu through jewelry, George through music. So you've been asked, how do you believe art can bring about change?
Oh. George, you go.
Art is a language everyone understands. If you had to sit down and ask every one of Umutoni's artisans what they thought of the political future of Kenya, you get a diversity of thought. Everyone will have an opinion. And if you talk about everyone's opinion for long enough, people are going to fight. But if you ask them what is to express what is inside them creatively through this jewelry, there's just so much less room for disagreement. You know what I mean? The kaleidoscope beauty, the beauty of it is its own argument, is its own validation. And it's the same with me. I was just reflecting on the phone to my friend earlier today. Like, I put a lot of politics and a lot of ideas that you could argue with, contentious ideas, into my art. But I feel like because they rhyme, no one ever challenges me. You get it? So make use of art because it's something that everyone can agree on some level.
I think that's
I wanted to, sorry, Tessa. I'll let Umu answer as well if you have anything to add, Umu.
Yeah, I guess to add to what George said, I think the good thing about art is that it's not as policed, it's not in compartments. Well, it kind of is, but not as stringent as, say, maybe professional environments. So you have the freedom to create and express who you are in your most authentic self. And you have the freedom to also explore that. And I think that that's the power, and you can bring who you are, your story, your history, your intentions, your impact to that, and connect with so many people, across the globe, which I think is just really powerful.
Cool. Okay, so I told a small lie earlier that was going to be the last question. I think we're going to take 2 more questions actually, and go like a little bit over. Tessa, I'm gonna slide in this one. So this question's for George. How do you manage to break through and navigate an industry, literature, poetry, creative industry, etc., which is historically gatekept by white people?
Good question. Daniel Priestley, a guy called Daniel Priestley, has a book called Oversubscribed, and it's all about how to get people lining up to do business with you. And one of my favorite principles in that book is be remarkable. Just be remarkable. This is why I say trust what you enjoy. Because when you enjoy something, you know what speaks to you about that thing. Me personally, with poetry, I loved rhymes. I love people that could present me with rhymes that I would have never thought of. Rhymes that seem obvious, like I never noticed those words rhyme. How could I not, And when I was young, I listened to those kind of artists, the ones that were really, really, really lyrical. And I listened to them obsessively. So by the time I transitioned into poetry, I was taking all of that training into the space of poetry. So I didn't feel like I was entering a white dominated space. All I was doing was pouring the value that I had absorbed from the black dominated space of rap into spoken word. And by pouring that value into my craft, it was translatable, again, because of the principle of trying to just be remarkable, do something remarkable, copy the people that you found remarkable. It became relevant and hopefully undeniable to other industries.
It's an amazing answer. Umu?
What George said.
You see what you said about learning from remarkable people? Application was like immediate. Okay, so we've got one more question. 2 more. Recently, a lot of people from the diaspora talk about going back home. How do you think people can do this ethically without creating a ruling class of people from the diaspora who benefit from their respective currencies, pounds, dollars, etc., and inadvertently make things harder for the people over there, so back at home?
That is such a good question. And one I really have been trying to navigate. I think when it goes to going back home, it's go with the intention to learn, right? I think sometimes you have this perception that, oh, we're in the West, you have this accent, or you studied here, there, and everywhere. And I think it's about go with the intention of learning, not necessarily just imposing your thoughts and ideas, because as we said, nobody has it figured out, ourselves included. So when you go back to the continent, wherever it is that you're from, understand, how does it work on the ground? How do people communicate? What is important to them? What are their priorities? Listen, like have conversations and listen to their needs, not what your ideas of their needs are, but what their actual needs are. And I think from there, if you just be really like genuine and authentic as you kind of navigate yourself through that space, you will connect with people a lot more authentically, and people will be open to even having those conversations with you. Because what you don't want to do is come with, you know, your or our Western ways of thinking. And I'll give you an example. So I was once involved in something called Miss Scuba Kenya, which was an international pageant to do with scuba diving, and I was representing Kenya. And the year after that, I went as director, and I wanted to get the next pageant queen from Kenya. And one thing that I found, I was working in my 9 to 5 at the time, and I was trying to book in all of my meetings because I'd have 2 weeks in Kenya on the ground. So I'd book in my meetings, I'd try and start the conversations, but I found that they would only go so far because people in Kenya like to meet face to face. Here you can have from, you know, initial call to signing a contract without ever meeting anybody. And nobody really has the desire to meet you unless, you know, you have to. But most things are technical. I was in sales before, so that was from the experience that I had. So I had to be like, okay, people want to meet. So understand, what can I achieve while I'm here in Kenya, and what do I need to make sure that I have patterned up or in place by the time I'm on the continent. So yeah, that's something that I would say to bear in mind. And then from the perspective of working with my artisans in the slums, something I kind of struggled with was sharing that story, right? Because I wanted to be respectful. I didn't want to be like, hey, look at me, I'm in these communities. No, I was like, how can I bring value? So again, when you're on the ground, how are you bringing value to those communities, and kind of go from there.
Brilliant answer. George?
Nah, almost answer. There's literally.
Wow. Oh, that's sick. Okay, so we're gonna finish. I promise this is the last one. I keep saying last one, but this is actually the last one.
By the way,
I'm not either.
Okay, good. I hope the audience isn't in a rush either. Tata, you in a rush?
I'm good.
Uni can wait, you know. Uni can actually wait. Okay. Top 3 MCs, UK MCs. Everybody, fill the chat.
Number one of all time will always be Gets. And I don't know how much exposure you guys have had to Gets. He just dropped a new album. It is one of the better albums in his catalog. But you know how I was saying earlier, try to emulate people that you find remarkable. I studied that man from about the age of 15 years old. And if I had to summarize the advantage that I have in poetry, it would be him. I had the advantage of being trained by him. He's the number one lyricist. MC, I mean, I'll let the chat get on with that because I can see it.
No, that's a sick answer.
Remix that question slightly. What are your top 3 East African artists?
Mine.
Both of yours.
I'm biased. All of mine. I'm sorry. No disrespect. I know Kenya, you lot get it cracking. all of mine are Ugandan. Right now, who would I say right now? Right now, my favorite song is by APOS. He's Ugandan, and he also like recently connected with man, so I'm very grateful for that. I am listening to a lot of Winnie Nwaji, which isn't my like normal setting. But I'm loving. See, Ugandan music, it uses dancehall as a base, and I'm a dancehall head. So like a lot of this music is just straight club music. But also a random gem that I stumbled on just through being around in Kampala is a young singer called Price Love. Mandy, the episode of my podcast that you're on, I use her song in that episode. She's not known, like no one knows her, but she's a Ugandan singer songwriter, and that's not the dancehall club music. That's the deep spiritual soul.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, you feel like when I listened to it, I felt like I was traveling.
Oh yeah, and that song's called "You Can Fly." She knows what she's a genius. She's a genius. Price Love. Check out Price Love, everyone.
Price Love.
Her latest EP is available on all platforms, man. 100.
That's sick.
I think you're gonna have to give her a listen. Umu, do you have any top 3
artists?
I'm searching Price Love. Yes, top artists. I would obviously say Sauti Sol. Sauti Sol are killing it right now. They are representing Blinky Bill. I'm a huge fan of Blinky Bill. And who else would I say? I think the next artist would probably have to be Ugandan,
Jeez, Ugandan's taking over the music space.
Yeah, they're doing well.
Represent, to be fair.
So, do you have one?
That as well. Look. If any that they want to recommend, put them in there, as well as your top 3 UK MCs as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with George on the UK MCs. Gets is sick. I just got onto Gets like recently, like listening to the new album. This is my second time I'm going through it because it's just sick. From start to finish, and it's so hard to find albums that you can just listen to from start to finish because you usually just pick like the singles, right? Mm-hmm. It's a sick album. Favorite East African artist, I have to big up my guy Diamond Platnumz because he's obviously Tanzanian.
Yeah,
biggest pop star.
How could I forget Diamond?
He's a cheeky guy, listen to his songs. If you guys know Swahili, he's a cheeky guy. Diamond Platnumz, I would have said Sauti Sol as well. And this is like a really old Tanzanian artist. I think she's from like a certain tribe, I can't remember, but her name is Binti Saudi, something like that. I can't remember her name, but it's like I found her in like this East African compilation, and I was like, this sounds really like I've heard this kind of sound before. It's like, yeah, I can't remember. It's a Binti Saudi something, but yeah, Tata.
Right. Yeah, number 1 would still be Sauti Sol. I can't lie, I've got to rep the Kenyan side. Number 2, I'd probably say Diamond Platnumz. I can't lie, I love him. Although I don't speak Swahili, so I have no idea what cheekiness this guy is saying.
He's a cheeky guy. He's a very cheeky guy. But yeah.
Number 3, I don't know. I'd probably say Suture Loss is probably one of my favorite songs. So I'd probably say Eddie Kenzo. I think he's Ugandan. I think, I feel like that's what I would go for personally.
Is it Eddie Kenzo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's Ugandan. One time he beat me for a BET. I'll never forget that.
Wow.
The only one that I was happy to lose to.
That's sick. BT award nominee. Guys, we're in a room with, I just don't know. Top class. But anyway, so we're gonna wrap it up now. Thank you guys so much for coming through, audience members, guests, Teta, Cambridge East Africa Society. Big up Cambridge ACS. I see the president is in here. And yeah, thank you everybody for coming through. If anybody has anything they want to plug, go ahead. Now's your time. No, nothing. Okay, cool. Well, anyway, all the socials are in the chat. At the top of the chat, you've got ACS stuff, you've got Cambridge East African Society stuff, you've got Georgia stuff, you've got UMU stuff, and Cambridge ACS stuff as well. So sick.
Actually, on a separate note, I'm pretty sure we've got an event later this week as Cambridge East African Society. So keep track of our Insta and we will let you guys know what is happening. But we've got some fun events coming up for the rest of term as well. I'm sure Oxford ACS, you lot have, I mean, you've got the rest of your cultural conversation as well. So
exactly. So hopefully you enjoyed this one enough to, you know, be attracted to the West African conversation, the panel. We've got Caribbean panel. West African panel is Thursday. Caribbean panel is Friday, if I'm not mistaken, but all the information is on our Instagram, Facebook, all of that, Oxford ACS. This will be on YouTube, Oxford ACS again. And then the final cultural conversations, I think, is going to be sometime soon, basically, but that one's going to be a sick one. Iman is hosting that, our North African officer, Bop. Okay.
Hey, thank you so much. Well done, Teta and Mandy. You guys did a great job, and like just love, man. Love to everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Super proud of you guys. Yeah, great energy. You're doing really, really well. Congratulations, making it through, you know, another year. And yeah, all the best to everyone, man. You guys are killing it. Super proud of everyone.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody. See you. Have a nice evening. Bye.